Hi, my name is Michael Trout, and I'm here to explain this brand new image that Ron Fink asked me if I had a video. So here is a video, Ron. Here is his comment right here. So basically, what I chanced upon was this brand new logo for the Silicon Valley network. And immediately when I looked at it, I was like, wow, this is actually an amazing logo because Sheridan Tatsuno is been a longtime follower of mine, and basically he created this logo, which I believe is probably an unconscious creation, and it actually to the T describes a startup. The startup is a Silicon Valley invention that actually came out of the movie industry. There's some great talks on the history of the startup that I recommend watching by Mr. Blank. I can't Ron Blank, is it? I can't remember his name, but Mr. Blank does a great, really long talk on the history of the startup, which he explains its origins. I'll try to find it and try to link it in this video. So basically, what I discovered in my 4 years of research is that the startup is based on a paradigm called what I call the access to capital. Only accredited investors right now, and this is slowly changing, can invest in an idea. And this is SEC regulations, and there's a limit number of stakeholders and everything else. And that represents the green sphere around the startup. Think of these as all different access to capital, and the way that they're crossing are maybe members or parts of two, one links to the other. And what it means is basically if you get into this, you are all of a sudden have accessible to, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars towards, and you see these valuations and these incredible investments taking place because Silicon Valley is all interlinked, and this is what's great about this green part here, explaining the number 4. Now, what you have to understand that the number 1 here, and I'm working my way backwards, are actually the VC-backed startups. They're the ones like the LinkedIn, like the Facebook, that once they get to this stage, they generate millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in backing from VCs. The ones on the side here are the ones with potential, which I call the seed startups. The seed startups are the ones that get access to super angels like the Dave McClures and the other ones on the angel list and everything else, and they basically get green lighted to move forward, to move through, and as you notice, they're only really touching one of the sphere in here, right? So one network has discovered it, one network, access to capital network, angel group, whatever, are supporting it, and usually what happens here is it's one guy. I'm going to use Google as an example. One guy who takes a leap of faith investment, and it was in Google, it was an Intel guy, I can't remember his name, from I believe it was Intel. For Apple, it was a Sun Microsystems guy, I believe. Okay, I have to check it out, but you can look at the history. But what I call leap of faith investor. But these investors, these Silicon Valley investors, are connected to a network because of this leap of faith investor that backed this idea. All of a sudden, this idea starts to move through. Now, the majority of ideas are these pre-seed, these non-accredited backed. My FoundUp is one of these. I don't have any accredited investors behind this project. It's just me. I've been working on it for 4 years, and I even got people like blocking me because I've bugged them so much. Cough, Dave McClure on Facebook. I'm the sort of guy who doesn't give up. I'm going to keep knocking on your door, knocking on the door, knocking on the door until you either block me or you tell me you're not interested, and I will, or say remove me from your email list or something. I'll respect that. I'm not going to disrespect you. So what I realize is that this paradigm basically has 99.97% of these pre-seed ideas fail to even get to stage 2, right? And I was like, wow, ideas aren't that bad. The problem is that everything here is tied to this access to capital networks, that these gatekeepers, that if they have access to these gatekeepers, then you have a chance. You look at all the bad movies that are made, it's the same thing, right? You're like, how the heck did this movie get created? It is crap. Well, someone had access to capital network, and that one person convinced his network to invest, and all of a sudden that movie gets created, and you're like, what the heck? Well, So many great ideas don't happen. And what I realized was that we needed to change this paradigm. And it took me a really long time to actually realize that the found up and the startup isn't this is are two completely different paradigms. And to be honest with you, it just happened last month. And I don't remember the moment when it did happen, but it happened. I was like, holy cow. I've been trying to kind of like I've been trying to fit the found up inside this, right, for nearly 4 years now. And the found up is a completely different thing. And let me explain it. Well, found ups are any idea for helping the planet. It could be a permaculture farm, it could be a garden, it could be picking up trash on the beach, anything that helps the planet or living systems. A farmer who goes from pesticide to not to organic. Guess what? He's a found up. He's changed. They're changing. There can be for-profit, non-profit. 99.99 potentially of found ups are going to be basically ideas that are self-supported and supported by a global community. And the way it works is you have this idea like I did. It's like, hey, I'm working on this garden, right? It costs me about 20 bucks a month, 30 bucks a month, right? Water costs, seeds, so on. That's what I kind of calculated. Will you support it, right? It's only 30 bucks a month. And to my surprise, people support it. So now my garden is free, or is free. I actually have net profits that I'm looking to reinvest into someone else's garden who wants to do a found up. So found ups can be really simple. It could be someone picking up trash. Say, listen, I'm picking up trash on this beach. Is it worth $1 to you? Or in the future, there's going to be perma tokens or perma coins, and that's already been invented that is going to tie into this. So we'll have this whole this virtual currency tied into to found ups, kind of like Bitcoin, but for saving the planet. And the idea, as soon as you get someone who puts $1 into it, right, it's supported, it's validated, it's being validating, which means people like the idea. It's not funded yet, but people like it. The moment that the project becomes funded, it's become validated. It's validated. Now it's funded. If something is validated, it becomes funded by the patrons. Now understand, 99.9% of found ups will not be revenue generating. They're going to be ideas that help save the planet, encouraged and paid for, because we have to realize that, and we need to stop thinking our ecosystem is one ecosystem on our planet. What I do here in Japan is impacting and affecting what you're doing in America, and vice versa, right? So it's to your interest to support a found up no matter where it is in the world, because it does a number of different things. Number one, it's going to encourage other people to launch found ups. Number two, it's going to help remove a red chip. Okay, think of found ups like a game of Risk, right? We've got red chips and green chips. Green chips are found ups, the red chips is everything else that's collapsing our planet. It's a simple game. We're removing the red chip and we're flipping it to a green chip. Play Found Ups app is all about a real life risk game, right, which I'm trying to fund and build, and I've already done all the work. I know how it's going to work. I know exactly what it's going to be, but what I don't have is the capital, the silly, about $500,000 that it's going to cost to build it, right? And what I want to do is hire a developer. When I hit about 500 bucks a month, I'll take that 500 bucks a month and I will turn it into paying for a developer to do some part-time coding to start getting Play Found Ups app built. So what's really important is number 5 is that the 0.1% of Found Ups that are like Found Ups Corp, that are that will be revenue generating Found Ups, okay, are mandated to reinvest 80% of the net profits into launching more Found Ups by the stakeholders. A stakeholder is someone who owns the shares. So it's not like the CEO is saying, "Oh, I'm going to put all the net profits," like it is right now with the current corporate model. You've got a board or very few people deciding where those net profits go. The way the Found Up works is anyone who is a stakeholder basically gets, based on their share, access to that amount of capital, and they decide where that capital goes, right? So if we have 100 shares of a business and you own 1 share, 1% of the net profits will be redirected to you. And again, all this happens on Play Found Ups, right? Right now I'm using kind of like honor system. Well, I don't have any, you know, massive 1% found ups yet, but we will. By the time we do, we'll have play found ups and it'll all plug in there. So what happens is all of a sudden you've got stakeholders who are the equity holders of a profit making enterprise that now is distributing funds to found ups all around the world. Now I call these guys, you know what I call these guys? They're brand new kind of investor. I call them archangels. The archangels are those stakeholders that basically strike it big doing found ups, right, and reinvest those net profits in launching more found ups. They don't, they don't get credit. They're just redirecting those profits. And whether I haven't decided yet whether the corporation will get credit for those reinvestments or whatever, but again, 99.9% of those monies are going to go towards saving the planet. I hope this talk is helpful. I'll annotate it and share it. I appreciate you watching. Thanks a lot. And visit FOUNDUPS.com and become a patron. I'm trying to get to our first milestone of 100 patrons. So we're at 12. We got 87 to go. So you can become a patron, and there's some benefits to becoming a patron, like getting equity in FoundUps Corp for becoming a patron, that maybe you want to jump in and take advantage of. Thanks.